Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. China is playing a dangerous game. On one hand, it is talking about stabilisation of relations with US as Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets Xi Jinping. On the other hand, China's highest-ranking foreign policy official, Wang Yi, writes an editorial slamming India's Prime Minister's visit to US. Wang Yi calls the visit US attempts to use India as a bulwark against China. Ahead of Narendra Modi's landmark state visit to the United States, China's state-owned media has slammed America for what it quotes as pushing India and ramping up its efforts to harass China's economic progress. In an opinion piece in the Global Times, top diplomat Wang Yi said that US's geopolitical calculations drove its efforts to strengthen economic and trade interactions with India, adding that it was bound to fail. The editorial piece said that this is Modi's sixth visit to the US since taking over as Prime Minister in 2014, but his first state visit to the US. As the US seems to ramp up efforts to push India to confront China and harass China's economic progress, the Financial Times recently warned that Washington's embrace of Modi carries a price, saying the US charm campaign has been noted with dismay by some of India's elites. They are concerned that the US attempts to use India as a bulwark against China. Interestingly, Wang Yi's piece comes at a time when US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Chinese President Xi Jinping, Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang and Wang Yi himself. Blinken was on a 5-day trip to Beijing. This was seen as an attempt by the US to ease the tensions between the US and China. Blinken and Wang Yi spoke for 3 hours on Monday at their meeting. Despite this meeting, Wang Yi, China's former foreign minister, said the US geopolitical calculations are not difficult to read. As feared by many Indian elites, Washington's vigorous efforts to strengthen economic and trade cooperation with India is primarily to slow down China's economic development. However, this geopolitical calculation of the US is doomed to fail, because China's position in the global supply chain cannot be replaced by India or other economies. Tensions between China and the United States have soared in recent years over a host of issues including trade, technology and Taiwan, with both President Joe Biden and his predecessor Donald Trump calling Beijing the most serious threat to long-term US global primacy. US officials have said they hope Blinken's visit will bring more stability, if not breakthroughs, between Washington and Beijing.
In every meeting, I stress that direct engagement and sustained communication at senior levels is the best way to responsibly manage our differences and ensure that competition does not veer into conflict. And I heard the same from my Chinese counterparts. We both agree on the need to stabilize our relationship.
The editorial continues to say despite increased investments in India by American companies, those, such as Apple, are now inseparable from China's supply chain. In fact, India's trade with the US cannot replace its trade with China, nor can India replace China in global supply chains, the piece said. If the US and India want to further develop economic and trade cooperation, they should solve the problems between themselves, rather than targeting China, it read. But the duality of China's approach towards US is exposed as the editorial says that the US pays lip service to India but seldom delivers. The editorial also urged India to abandon geopolitical calculation, such as considering joining the US' reckless and selfish game to contain China, adding that promoting trade and economic cooperation with China is of great importance for India's future growth and development. This seems to be a clear effort by China to minimize the importance of the Indian Premier's visit to the States. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comments section, and for more news updates subscribe to India Today.